Hello, my name is Felix Rodriguez, and this is my Interpersonal Communications project. Next slide. As described in Bridges Not Walls, interpersonal communication is a continuous collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal contact that maximizes the existence of an individual. Next slide. It is clear that good listening skills can improve our overall communications with others. In fact, according to Why Don't We Listen Better, effective listening can help improve the way you work with others, with your community, and also with individual relationships. Along with that, listening skills also help counselors become more effective at teaching, resolving conflict, and learning. As we well know, we live in an environment that influences people in the way we interact. Not only does our upbringing play an important role in how we communicate, but who we are and how we feel can be detrimental in how we perceive others. As described by Bridges Not Walls, perception is a cognitive process that assigns meaning to our sensory cues. This process, which happens simultaneously, takes information and selects whether or not to pay attention to, organizes it by structuring it, then stabilizes it. To put it differently, you first organize it to make sense. Then you either judge or conclude, which implies to how you relate to the conversation based on the personal assumption, expectations, and goals. Then you store it. It is believed that every aspect of a person's life can benefit from being an active listener. In fact, according to the Journal of Managerial Psychology, approximately 3/4 of businesses spend most time engaging with people without properly or effectively listening to them. In order to change this issue, many organizations, including individuals, are finding ways to help improve their listening skills by practicing empathy, concise verbal interaction, and proper nonverbal response. Next slide. It is believed that many people have identified the empathetic approach to listening as a powerful tool for improving their people skills. Listening effectively or empathetic listening not only helps in demonstrating full interest of what the messenger has to say, it also gives a chance to the listener to accurately interpret the message and render a proper response. For this reason, I am compelled to work diligently at improving my listening skills by actively engaging in all of what Burley Allen refers to levels of listening, with a primary focus on being an empathetic listener. Next slide. When a person listens empathetically, he or she is receptive or sensitive to the full range of characteristics shared by the other person who responds only with his or her impersonal characteristics. In order to listen empathetically, it is important to place special emphasis in learning the following 3 skills as described in Bridges Not Walls. These skills are focusing, next slide, encouraging, and reflecting. Next slide. According to my very own assessment by Uniquely You Incorporated, what is expected of me? To be determined, inspiring, and contemplating individual who can very well be sure of himself, demanding at times, and analytical. I am expected to be active, strong-willed, decisive, and dedicated to finding facts. What is me? Active, task-oriented, dominating and inspiring, very sensitive and private, who don't tend to be sweet, soft, and submissive. Goal-oriented, with the ability to communicate thoughts, which causes others to have confidence and enthusiasm. Next slide. When analyzing my own assessment, I realized that much of my behavior traits were accurately describing my background and personality as a soldier. To be dominating, inspiring, and task-oriented, it's practically drilled into every sergeant's character, making him or her to be analytical, decisive, direct, confident, and dominant. Sadly, it is believed that once you acquire these abilities or traits, it's pretty much stuck with you, whether by the perception people have or by way of how the person feels about him or herself. Next slide. Because of my time in service, I have developed several communication barriers that have slowed not only my spiritual walk, but my overall understanding on how to be sympathetic. One is biased listening, the other is semantic barriers. In order to combat this issue, I would focus more on becoming an empathetic listener by practicing level 1 techniques described in Burley Allen, which are attentiveness, interest, attitude, not allowing emotional stir-ups, and encouraging. Next slide. Throughout this interpersonal communication course, I found that there are many books and exercises that can help with developing better communication skills. For instance, there is Listening, the Forgotten Skills, which breaks down listening to 3 levels and gives you many exercises and practices to go along with. Bridges, Not Walls, a book that has given me so much insight on the fundamentals of communication and an incredible overview on how identity, perception, relationship, and communication walls affects the way we communicate. Next slide. Not only have these books have given me a better perspective on what I need to better my skills, it has also shown me how to identify why interpersonal communications go wrong. I feel that in order to make the necessary changes to one's communication ability, he or she must first understand how personality, perception, and attitude shapes the way we talk. Once understood, a plan of action can be established with the intentions to better the overall communication skill. Next slide. In order to achieve my interpersonal communication goal, which is to become an empathetic listener and to enlarge my conversation, I plan to do the following. I plan to follow the guidelines established by Madeline Burley Allen in Listening, the Forgotten Skill. Number 1, be attentive. Number 2, be interested. Number 3, listen from the okay attitude. Number 4, don't allow to be hooked by emotional entrapment. Number 5, use encouragement, non-committal acknowledgement, brief expressions. And number 6, maintain ground rules such as don't interrupt, don't take the subject to another direction, don't get internally distracted, don't interrogate, don't preach, don't give advice, and do reflect back to the talker. Next slide. It is very clear that the Lord has always given us the remedy to live a wonderful, fulfilling life full of happiness and laughter. His word not only has given us the true way of encouraging one another, but also how to be empathetic to those who are found brokenhearted, lost, and confused. His word encourages us to listen, be kind, and understanding with the purpose of spreading His unconditional love. Although there are many verses on the Holy Scriptures that teaches us to love, here are just 10 verses which are not just common, that we can all relate when engaging with others. Next slide. And this concludes my interpersonal communications project. Thank you.